Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our top stories. Gabon is due to go to the polls on Saturday in what is said to be the first presidential election since the 2023 military coup ended the Bongo's family dynasty, which lasted over 50 years. Kenya's national high school drama competition has been overshadowed by drama of its own after police fired tear gas to disperse a crowd that had gathered to watch a controversial play. Thank you for joining us. More than 800,000 voters in Gabon are set to cast their vote on Saturday in the presidential election, the first since the Bongo dynasty was overthrown in a 2023 coup after 56 years in power. So final adjustments were underway, from setting up the electoral system to distributing voter registration cards. Teams from the voting organization have been working hard. The government has reiterated its commitment to holding a free, credible and transparent election. Now everyone is looking forward to awaiting the outcome. Our team in Libreville reports.
In Gabon's capital, Libreville, preparations are in full swing at the Pilote School, one of the designated voting centers. Elvis Nze is the supervisor here.
Voilà, vous voyez le numéro d'ordre. Ici, c'est 41.
He has been overseeing the distribution of voter cards since April 2nd. After verifying that voters are listed on the electoral roll, they are all allowed to collect their cards. So far, more than 4,000 people have come through this center.
Nous n'avons pas de soucis.
We've had no problems here. As you can see, everything is running smoothly. Voter card distribution is going very well. We're just waiting for more voters to come and collect their cards. We've already handed out between 4,000 and 5,000.
4,000, 5,000 déjà qui ont été servis, satisfaits.
Latecomers like Antoine are rushing to centers like this one to collect their voters' cards just hours before an election that will mark the end of the military transition in place since the August 2023 coup.
I came, I found my name on the list, and I was finally able to collect my card. It means a lot because we are choosing our future leader and the direction we want the country to take. Every citizen must do their civic duty.
A few kilometers away, Gabon's Interior Minister reaffirmed the transitional government's resolve to ensure a credible, transparent and secure election.
The climate of peace and security that reigns in our country should make us more aware than ever of the need to preserve it. Several factors reflect the state of affairs. For example, land, sea, and air borders are not closed.
40 national and international observer missions have been accredited to monitor the polls. More than 800,000 Gabonese citizens, both in the country and in the diaspora, will head to the polls this Saturday to elect a new president for a 7-year term.
And to help us make sense of it all, we're joined by Remadji Hoinathy, a senior researcher on Central African politics at the Institute for Security Studies. Mr. Hoinathy, thank you very much for being with us. So let's start with the big picture. How do you assess the political atmosphere in Gabon right now?
Thank you. Considering that this election is actually the first since the coup d'etat, which for many Gabonese actually represent a new beginning, these elections are undoubtedly surrounded by a certain fervor and also represent a kind of test of the capacity of the authorities in place to set aside the practices that have discredited elections in the past, although they are themselves competing. For some opposition voices, notably those of the disqualified candidates, they are denouncing this election as a foregone conclusion. But in general, we could say that there is no major tension in the country. It should then be expected that this election should be appeased.
So we said earlier there are 8 candidates. So regardless of who wins, what are the key challenges that the next government will have to face?
After the euphoria of the coup d'etat and also this kind of enthusiasm that actually accompanied the transition, Gabonese and mainly the youth have real expectations of change. Those expectations are very high. So whoever from the candidate is elected will soon be faced with many challenges. There is a challenge of reviving Gabon's economy, which is struggling since some times and is still very dependent on the very volatile extractive sector. There's also the necessity to resolve the issue of youth unemployment because the rate is somehow high in the country. There's the necessity of strengthening and developing basic infrastructures without losing the supply of essential services like electricity that have been a problem even under this transition. There is the necessity of sustaining a functional mechanism to clean up the management of public affairs and avert corruption, and continue to mitigate the evils of the Bongo dynasty in the Gabonese society. And beyond this, the capability and the will of the elected authorities in maintaining an open and peaceful political system are no less important for a stable Gabon.
Can we talk also about some kind of regional involvement in these elections?
For sure. As you may know, when the coup happened, actually, Gabon have been suspended from ECAS, that is the regional body to which Gabon pertains, but also suspended by the African Union. At the regional level, then, Gabon have been very skillful in its diplomacy to its neighbors. In this way, the country have been reintegrated within the ECAS, but remains suspended from the African Union. But paradoxically, we observe that the African Union is sending a mission, observation mission to the country. We can therefore then expect that Gabon will be rapidly reintegrated into the continental organization. If the elections go smoothly, we should also open the door for Gabon to return to the international arena.
What about the legacy of the Bongo family shaping this election, if at all?
As there is the legacy, the Bongo's legacy is something that actually is very weightful in the Gabonese society. And then breaking away from this legacy is a very clear expectation of the Gabonese people. And the main candidates actually, although most of them, talking about Oligingama himself, but also Billy Binze, have been part of that system. They're actually echoing in their campaign speech the fact that they are trying to walk away from that legacy. However, it's a system that has been investing the whole of Gabonese political, economic, and social life for more than 5 decades. So beyond the will of the candidates and the expectations of the Gabonese society, this will take some time. It's also important then for each of the candidates to understand that this is a high stake and the necessity then to find ways progressively to get away from this legacy.
Mr. Remadji Hoinathy, thank you very much from the Institute for Security Studies. Thank you very much. Now, Kenya's National Drama and Film Festival is an event that usually celebrates student talent and creativity. But this year, a single play has sparked national debate. Echoes of War is set in a fictional kingdom where the youth have lost faith in their leaders. The play was overshadowed by drama of its own after police fired tear gas to disperse a crowd that had gathered to watch. Olivia Bizot has the story.
They were hoping to perform in a drama about protests, but instead they ended up in one. The play Echoes of War was written by former Senator Cleophas Malala, and it tells a story of a kingdom in which the youth rise up against corrupt leaders, drawing many parallels to last year's anti-government Gen Z protests which took place across the country. Now, the play was initially banned from taking place in Nakuru's National Drama Festival, but one of the students from Batare Girls High School filed a petition, and the High Court ruled in her favour and ordered for the play to be reinstated in the festival. But despite that ruling, Cleophas Malala was detained by police the night before the performance. And then when the students arrived to their set ahead of their show on Thursday morning, they found no props, no director and no audience. So instead of performing, they sang the national anthem and then walked out of the venue in protest, only to find anti-riot police, who later fired tear gas at the audiences which had gathered in front of the venue, hoping to be able to watch the play. Cleophas Malala, the playwright, was eventually released without charges, and he praised the students for taking a stand. The Ministry of Education has defended its position, saying that Malala, a former politician, should have never been allowed to get involved in a student play, and it said that it will ensure that this doesn't happen again in the future. But the opposition and civil rights organisations have condemned the police's use of force and have said that this points towards a worrying trend in Kenya, where abductions, disappearances and police violence often go unanswered.
In our world of sports, Mohamed Salah has signed a new 2-year contract with Liverpool. The prolific Egypt forward has ended months of uncertainty over his future with the Premier League. His previous deal was scheduled to run out in the summer, and there have been some doubts. But he will now have the chance to add to his 243 goals. And now we leave you with this rare video from Gabon. Look at this chimpanzee. Investigating a remote camera, you can see it by poking it with a stick. He's using a tool in the wild. The footage was captured in January in Gabon's Bateke Plateau National Park by Panthera scientists. We were just hoping to capture footage of big cats rather than curious chimps. However, when the scientists went to review the footage, they instead saw the image of a nosy primate jabbing at their camera. Very nosy. And this concludes our edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching. More news to come.